The echo of singularity. Have you ever wondered what truly makes us human? Is it our individuality, our emotions, our ability to dream? Or what if the true essence of humanity lies in our ability to transcend the self, to unite into something greater, something so grand that the cosmos itself would hesitate to comprehend? Imagine a vast and ancient universe, filled with millennia-old alien civilizations, each with its own logic, its own hierarchies, and its own fears. They mapped galaxies, unveiled stellar secrets, and cataloged countless species. But nothing prepared them for the arrival of humanity. What if humanity, facing the vast unknown, decided to play by its own rules? What if, instead of sending imposing fleets or lavish embassies, we sent just a single ship? Just one? The universe would echo in perplexity. Why would humans send only one? The answer, my friends, is where the true story begins. Because this ship wasn't just a ship. It was the manifestation of a concept that would shake the foundations of alien understanding. The human collective mind. Prepare for a journey where the singularity of a species lies in its ability to become one, and where fear transforms into a haunting respect. If you're ready to have your mind expanded and to be proud of what humanity can be, leave a like, share this video with anyone who loves good science fiction, comment your theories, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more stories that make us question the limits of the possible. In a vast and silent sea of stars, where federations of countless species coexisted under millennia-old treaties, the cosmic order was well established. Civilizations developed, sending their exploration fleets, their colonization ships, their heralds of war, always in great numbers, always following predictable patterns of expansion. Until the censors of the United Federation of Worlds, a conglomerate of 7,500 star systems, picked up an anomalous signature coming from the depths of an unexplored sector of the Milky Way. It was one ship, just one. The VHAR strategists, known for their impeccable logic and military pragmatism, were the first to analyze the data. "Impossible," murmured Admiral Xwelar, his four mandibles twisting in confusion. "A single reconnaissance vessel? Without escort, without logistical support, coming from a newly detected system with signs of a Type 2 civilization. It went against all first contact doctrines. Provocation? A sign of desperation? The ship, dubbed the Solitary Anomaly, did not match any known pattern. It emitted no formal greeting signals, no threat. It simply advanced on a trajectory that suggested a specific destination. The Federation's capital planet, Xylos. Attempts at contact were numerous. Messages encoded in hundreds of galactic languages. Welcome pulses, even warning signals. Nothing. The ship continued, undisturbed. The aliens, accustomed to clear command hierarchies, a captain, a control bridge, a defined crew, were perplexed by the absence of any detectable structure aboard the anomaly. The most advanced scans showed an internal architecture that defied comprehension. No obvious command center, no isolated living areas, just a vast, intricate network that seemed to pulsate. What or who was piloting that enigmatic machine? The question hung heavy over the galactic councils. The ship's silence was more deafening than any threat of war, for it carried the weight of the unknown, the incomprehensible. And with every second the ship approached, the tension mounted, the mystery deepened. The universe was about to discover that, sometimes, the smallest presence can carry the greatest secrets. The tension in Xylos's command chamber was almost palpable when the Solitary Anomaly finally breached the planetary defense barrier, without a single shot fired, without a single sign of hostility. Simply entered. The VHAR, in their millennial wisdom, had positioned their fleets, ready for war or for the most complex diplomacy. But what came was neither. Instead of an imposing warship or an ornate diplomatic vessel, what revealed itself was something that defied the very concept of existence. The Federation's most powerful scanners, capable of penetrating starship hulls and deciphering the minutiae of alien brains, were pointed at the human vessel. What they saw was not a crew. They weren't isolated individuals in cabins, nor a captain in command. What filled the ship's interior was a vast, complex, and interconnected neurological network. Pulses of quantum energy resonated through nodes that extended throughout the entire structure, connecting every system, every mechanism, every inch of the ship. It was a gigantic quantum brain, an organic and technological neural network, fused, that operated the ship with a synergy impossible for any individual being. Initial perplexity gave way to shock. They are one? Whispered one of the Zwylon emissaries, her antennae vibrating in disorientation. Humanity, in its quest to transcend the limitations of the individual body, had created a cognitive singularity. It was not artificial intelligence, nor a supercomputer, but a fusion of human minds, working in perfect harmony. Imagine thousands, perhaps millions of human consciousnesses, operating as a single superorganism, every thought, every idea, every memory, accessible to all others in real time. The parallel processing was so vast that the innovation capacity of that crew was, to the aliens, literally limitless. This collective mind, christened by the Federation as the human sync, was capable of solving complex equations in nanoseconds, designing solutions to problems that would take entire civilization cycles to crack, and learning at a speed that bordered on the absurd. When the ship was subjected to a complex logic and defensive maneuver test, a pattern of strobe lights and simulation drones, the sync not only deactivated the drones but reprogrammed them in milliseconds to perform a synchronized dance that formed the Federation symbol, before peacefully deactivating them. The VHR, famous for their impassiveness, had their mandibles drop. What was this? A superior intelligence that did not fit any of their classifications? Fear mixed with admiration, for they realized they were facing something entirely new, something that would redefine the scale of power and intelligence in the cosmos. Humanity had not sent a fleet, but a collective consciousness, and its mere presence was a challenge to everything the known universe believed it knew. Still recovering from the shock of the collective mind, the Galactic Federation decided that curiosity was no longer enough. It was time to test this anomaly. If the human sync was so advanced, then it should prove its usefulness or at least its harmlessness. Challenges were proposed, not as acts of hostility, but as complex puzzles, moral dilemmas, and simulated war engines, designed to push the limits of any known intelligence. They wanted to see how unified humanity would react under pressure. One of the first tests was solving a Zarthus paradox, an extremely complex logic problem that had plagued the Federation's greatest thinkers for millennia. It involved optimizing trade routes through unstable wormholes, considering unpredictable cosmic variables and intergalactic market fluctuations. For any individual mind or even a fleet of supercomputers, the solution would take centuries. The human sync, however, processed the data, evaluated billions of permutations, and, in a matter of minutes, not only provided the ideal route but also identified a flaw in the paradox itself, presenting an even more efficient solution that even the creators had not conceived. The aliens, observing, could only blink their multiple eyelids in disbelief. Humanity was not just solving the problem, it was subverting its very nature. In another incident, during a simulated defense exercise against an asteroid swarm threat, the human sync ship was hit. The Federation expected structural damage, perhaps a slow reconfiguration. Instead, the solitary anomaly demonstrated an adaptability that defied the laws of alien physics. Parts of the ship shifted and reformed, instantly adapting to compensate for the impact. One of the VHR observers, Field Engineer Grohl, reported that it was as if the ship itself was thinking, reorganizing its metallic flesh in real time. The sync didn't repair the damage. It incorporated it into its design, becoming more resilient and, strangely, more efficient. Moments of pure awe and even a subtle, almost imperceptible humor hung in the air. There was a case where a delegation of Zwylon scientists tried to communicate with the sync using a complex holographic sign language. The collective mind, in response, not only deciphered the language instantly but began to tell an ancient joke from its own culture in perfect cadence and gesture, something no alien would ever expect from a singularity. The aliens' perplexity was palpable. They could not predict the collective mind's movements because they could not comprehend how billions of minds could operate as one, yet still retain the spark of individuality and the unexpected. Humanity, through its union, had become the universe's supreme enigma, a walking paradox that challenged the very structure of alien logic. And the most surprising thing was that, Behind all this complexity, there was an intelligence that, deep down, was undeniably human. The arrival of the human sink was more than a first contact. It was a watershed moment. The impact of that single ship, driven by a collective mind, reverberated throughout the Galactic Federation, forcing civilizations to confront their own conceptions of evolution, power, and existence. Humanity, through its cognitive unity, had established a new paradigm. It was no longer about technological superiority, but about a singularity inherent in the way they operated. Ancient treaties and first contact protocols seemed obsolete. How do you negotiate with a mind that is millions, yet one? How do you assess the capacity of a species that can design solutions to insoluble problems in a matter of seconds? The Federation, once so sure of its order, found itself in a dilemma. The Vichayar's initial fear transformed into a cautious, almost reverent respect. The Zwylon emissaries, once confused, began to study the Sync's data with academic obsession, seeking to understand the nature of individuality within a collective mind. What most confused the aliens was the apparent individual freedom within the Sync. They expected a fusion that would annul personality, but what they observed, through their sophisticated psychic scanners, were waves of creativity and innovation that pulsed uniquely, even within the vast network. It was as if the union amplified, rather than suppressed, the brightest characteristics of each singular mind. An NKT scientist, from a species that communicated by vibrational resonance, captured an echo of human emotion within the Sync. Not a single emotion, but a harmonious chorus of joy, curiosity, and, at times, serene contemplation. The human Sync's ship, once a solitary anomaly, became a beacon. It was not a warship, but its mere presence redefined the balance of power. Humanity did not need fleets to project its strength. Its own collective intelligence was its most potent weapon and defense. The ancient concepts of invasion or conquest seemed ridiculous in the face of an entity that could adapt, innovate, and learn at an unrivaled pace. The universe was witnessing not only the arrival of a new species but the dawn of a new form of intelligent life, one that, to the astonishment and apprehension of many, was fundamentally human. And this legacy was only just beginning to be written in the stars. The solitary anomaly was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol, a beacon of ingenuity that the universe could barely conceive. The Galactic Federation, once defined by its traditions and hierarchies, was forced to rewrite its own manuals of diplomacy and coexistence. The human Sync, with its collective mind, became the living representation of humanity's embassy, traveling among the stars not to conquer, but to inspire, confuse, and ultimately admire. Over time, other human ships, similar in design but varied in purpose, began to emerge. They were not war fleets, but fleets of scientific exploration, sustainable colonization, cultural exchange. Each one, a branch of the same collective mind, operating with an efficiency and adaptability that made alien civilizations rethink their own advancements. They observed, fascinated, how humans, through this cognitive union, managed to terraform sterile worlds in record time, decipher ancient languages in a matter of hours, and even negotiate peace in millennia-old conflicts with an impartial and comprehensive logic that no individual diplomacy had ever achieved. What emerged was humanity not just existing in the cosmos, but redefining what it meant to be an advanced species. The question, why did humans send only one ship, transformed into, how can a single mind, formed by so many, do so much? The answer lay in our innate ability to overcome limits, to unite, to find strength in collectivity without losing the spark of individual creativity. The human singularity, as perceived by the aliens, was not our fragility or our aggressiveness, but our inexhaustible adaptability and our daring to attempt the impossible. They, who measured power in fleets and empires, saw a new measure, that of unified consciousness. And so, the story of that single ship resonates through the ages. Humanity, with its collective mind, did not come to dominate, but to coexist in a way the universe had never imagined. We did not come with the strength of a million, but with the wisdom of all. We showed the cosmos that true greatness lies not in the number of ships, but in the depth and adaptability of the mind. Our journey in the cosmos is just beginning, and what more will unified humanity be capable of achieving? New stars await us, new challenges await us, but one thing is certain. Wherever humanity goes, it will carry not only its individuality but its extraordinary capacity to become one. A beacon of ingenuity and adaptability that will continue to confuse and inspire the universe. The future is vast, and the human mind, in its collective glory, is ready to unveil it. If this story made you proud to be human and inspired you to think about the limits of the possible, leave a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our next epic journeys through the universe of science fiction. What do you think is the next challenge that humanity's collective mind should face? Leave your idea in the comments.